All right, we're doing something a little different today. Something pretty audacious, actually. We're not reviewing stone or steel or silicon. Nope. We're reviewing ourselves. We are going to rank humanity as a material.
I mean, just think about it for a second. For 300,000 years, one single species has reshaped this planet more than any earthquake, volcano, or chemical reaction. We build massive cities, we re-engineer entire ecosystems, we invent technologies that literally bend reality. So the question is, are we the most powerful material on Earth?
And that is exactly the question we are here to answer. We're turning the microscope on us, on Homo sapiens, and we're conducting a full, no-holds-barred audit. And we're doing it with zero mercy, no extra points for nostalgia.
So you might be thinking, what does that even mean, to view humans as material? Well, it means we're analyzing our species like a resource. Our physical strength, our brain power, our biology, our collective behavior, all of it. And just like any other material, we've got some very distinct strengths and some very serious weaknesses.
And the sheer scale of this material is just mind-boggling. As of March 2026, there are about 8.1 billion of us on this planet. Every single one is a ridiculously complex biological machine, consuming resources, spitting out ideas, and, either building civilization up or tearing it down.
Okay, so to do this right, we need some ground rules, a consistent framework. So we're going to judge ourselves based on 6 key criteria, the same things you'd look at for any other material. We've got historical impact, mechanical properties, workability, scalability, versatility, and finally, lasting relevance.
First up on the list, historical impact. Right, how did we get here? How do we go from being just another ape to becoming the single most dominant force on the planet? Let's take a look at the timeline. This timeline just perfectly captures the insane acceleration. For most of our history, we were just kinda hanging around, making basic tools, using fire. But then, bam, the cognitive revolution gives us complex language, abstract thought. Then the agricultural revolution turns us into full-blown ecosystem engineers. And then, in what is basically a geological blink of an eye, the industrial revolution turns us into cogs in a machine. And now? Now, we've become the product. We're data points, we're commodities in the attention economy. And this impact, it hasn't always been constructive, not by a long shot. The source material brings up this really chilling historical fact. In some cultures, we've used other humans as literal building material, like crushing bones to use in mortar. It's a pretty sobering reminder of our capacity to use and misuse absolutely everything around us, including ourselves.
So that's our track record. Now let's get into the core of this audit, the human spec sheet. What are the inherent material properties of you and me?
Let's start with the good stuff, our design strengths. And honestly, they're incredible. Our adaptability is just off the charts. Give us some tech and we can survive pretty much anywhere on Earth. Our cognitive power and creativity, unmatched by anything we know of. We have phenomenal endurance, both physically and mentally. And maybe most important of all, we're capable of planetary scale cooperation, the kind of teamwork that builds pyramids and, lands people on the moon.
But, and this is a huge but, for every one of those remarkable strengths, there is a critical flaw. We burn through a staggering amount of resources and produce mountains of waste. Our emotional volatility? It can lead to completely irrational decisions, to self-sabotage. And let's be honest, we have a terrifyingly high capacity for self-destruction on a global scale.
But if you had to boil it all down, our single biggest design flaw is probably our addiction to short-term thinking. We consistently, almost predictably, prioritize immediate gain over long-term survival. And that one trait undermines almost all of our greatest strengths. All right, we've looked at the history, we've gone through the spec sheet, the good and the bad. Now it's time. Time to apply the criteria and deliver the verdict. The moment of judgment is here. First up, historical impact. This one's, it's a no-brainer. A perfect 10 out of 10. We created every single civilization, every piece of tech, every work of art. Our impact is, without a doubt, unparalleled. Easy peasy. Next, mechanical properties. Okay, here we're scoring a 7.5 out of 10. We are super adaptable, capable of amazing cooperation, but we're also pretty fragile physically and can be emotionally unstable, which makes us let's say, an unreliable material at times. What about workability? How easy are we to shape? We get a very high 9 out of 10 for this. We are incredibly trainable. We can be programmed through culture, education, and technology to do an absolutely astonishing range of things.
Now, for scalability and cost. And this score is going to be lower, a 6 out of 10. I mean, yes, we've successfully scaled ourselves to 8.1 billion, which is impressive, but the ecological cost is just immense. We're blowing past our planet's carrying capacity.
And versatility? Come on, is this even a question? Another perfect 10 out of 10. We can do manual labor, create breathtaking art, conduct mind-bending science, and wage horrifying wars. Our versatility is simply unmatched. Period.
And finally, lasting relevance. Here, we're giving ourselves an 8 out of 10. We are, without question, the dominant force on this planet right now. But we're also facing existential risks that we created: climate change, nuclear war, that threaten our very own relevance.
So, all the scores are in, you tally them all up, you average them out, and where do we land? On the official material tier list. The final verdict is A tier.
A tier, the most powerful, versatile, and dangerous material on the planet. But that brings up a bit of a paradox, doesn't it? With 2 perfect 10s and a really high average, why aren't we S tier? What is holding us back from that top spot?
And this slide just lays out that conflict perfectly. We earned that A-tier rank because of our unmatched creativity and our massive impact. I mean, we are literally the material that invented all other materials. But what keeps us from reaching S-tier are our own deepest flaws, our self-destructive tendencies, that crippling short-term thinking, and the simple fact that we are failing the sustainability test we created for ourselves. But here's the ultimate twist. The most profound thing about us as a material. Unlike a lump of iron or a piece of silicon, we have this unique property. We are the only material capable of conscious self-improvement. We know what our flaws are. We can actually choose to change.
And that, right there, is the ultimate takeaway. Our story isn't over. Our ranking isn't final. We know our bugs, and we have the ability to patch them. So that leaves us with the one big question for our future. Will we use our unique abilities to earn that higher tier, or are we going to fail the course?